find a way to go back. They want us to go back. We want to go back. Where do we go back to? And leaving is a kind of suicide, isn't it? Only learned this in leaving. Migration as achievement is false. The only true thing is the fragment. Migration is a living death. I become a ghost. A shadow. Each new self haunts the newer self. Thinking on home and language and how in some ways they have come to mean the same thing. The train arrives. A large, white man finds a space beside me, and I resist the reflex to make myself small, to make room for him. He shrinks in the allotted negative space and reveals a pack of index cards with your mother tongue scrawled on them. You remember, God is a surrealist poet and has a funny way of revealing herself to those who will believe. But you wonder why this scampy-looking man has such an interest in your language. A slew of predictable acronyms rush to the forefront of your mind. CIA, FBI, NSA. Based on his age, you dismiss the possibility of the Foreign Service exam. You are tempted to ask, why such an interest in Arabic? Then you notice a golden band on his ring finger. Perhaps he is learning it for the love of a woman who loves this language as much as you do. This soul-warm thought is fleeting, as he is. He stands directly in front of you as he prepares to exit the train. You scrutinize him. You sense he senses it. You want to make him uncomfortable. You want to know what he is going to do with your language. But you do not ask. You go home and write this instead.
All she does is stare at me. It's as if she's not in her body anymore. All she does is stare at me. It's as if she's not in her body anymore. Seems like all she does is stare at me. All she does is stare at me. Seems like all she does and all she can do these days is just stare at me. All she does is stare at me. Like it seems like all she can do these days is stare at me.
Why is he so quiet? It feels as if we are underwater. I want to wake from this dream. But I am love. I am loving. I have not done anything. This country will make you feel as if you are guilty of things you have nothing to do with, want nothing to do with an intervention. They call their wars intervention. They call war intervention. We are disappearing.
Stars stare back with eyes inverted as we exit day, we exit night, exit day. Have you seen where confusion transforms into clarity? Doubts, knowing feeling, drawing shapes from punctuated forgetting? Wait, I remember the shortcuts. A reminder of how intelligent we are, so intelligent. It is frightening us not knowing how we know what we know, that we know what they're thinking, and it paranoids us as verb, as reaction on their faces. How do I know what they're thinking? Frightening us not knowing how we know what we know, that we know what they're thinking.
I can't tell him.
Of all things left unsaid, there are bodies.
I can't tell him.
Tell me what is seeing without light, a country without military, without America, Guantanamo.
I can't tell him.
Building your relationship with Cuba to the tune of Gil Scott-Heron rapping about a new route to China? What is vitality if life is forced between brackets, an ending of lyric? So quote your ability to forget and contract a concentration connecting. You thought I'd say camp to remind you of our humanity, to compare this to genocide. I put a halo on because we are holograms, the holograms of Abu Ghraib's. There's always separation, creating distance. In distance, there's leaving, and in leaving, there's change, indicating the signs you've been looking for in what has not yet been written. At this point, you should be concentrating. Do you hear them? They're a symphony arriving, and you're singing in this chorus of complicit. A choir, not of church, nor of Amin in collective prayer, nor of scratchy microphones at dawn, nor of the silence before we break fast. It is their chorus. When I can see music in a constellation, that is your name is an aria. So please, join in this recitative and don't let go.